Hello, everyone. Today we're going to continue working through our Micro 850 training. Let's just review real quick when we get started here. This is the program that we've been building out. And if we just, let's go to courses.twcontrols.com and we're in the Connected Components Workbench lessons. And I'm just going to hit the resume. And inside of here, we have this comprehensive guide to learning PLCs. And so we've been going through downloading, connecting, and the basic instructions of CCW or Connected Components Workbench, timers and counters, sequencing methods, analog, troubleshooting. And then last, we were really doing the prep for our PID instruction, which mainly got us to here. So we have a speed command that we can give the drive, and then we have our feedback speed right here. And if I switch forward to the left, that gets the motor starting to run, and that gets us some feedback going on. And so we arguably are ready to set up our PID now and learn how to auto tune it. But along with that, we're going to need to probably see a graphical interface or a trend of what this data looks like. And so this has been an interesting one in the last 24 hours. As I posted that, hey, we're gonna talk about trending in ignition because it doesn't work in Rockwell Automation's Connected Components Workbench. And so right after that, Randy Davis sent me an email and said, well, yeah, they put an add-on back in, so now it does work. So if you didn't know, trending was added to Connected Components Workbench version 11, and it worked fine to 21. And then in version 22, it just disappeared. And so I got thinking about it. It's like, well, do I want to just spin that around or do we want to stick with ignition? Well, one, I went on there this morning and it was unavailable. So we are sticking with ignition for that. But also, there are some really key advantages that, especially since we're starting to talk about PIDs and mainly start talking about things that we may need to troubleshoot years down the road and may need a good baseline, there are reasons that we probably want to do a little more long-term trend. And use ignition, we can trend it to some type of SQL database or somewhere where we can come back and retrieve it later. The other really cool thing about doing it this way is we don't actually have to have the software to trend this. Now, it's not a big deal in the Connected Components Workbench because it is free. But if I was using Studio 5000 or TIA Portal, then I can actually set up a trend to do some troubleshooting without actually having the software present. So a lot of good things there. Let's see. Oh, Mike Mitchell says, I called Rockwell. They told me how to get the trend patch for version 22. I downloaded it. It worked. Well, yeah. And so, yeah, back in November, apparently they did make the patch. And yeah, I went to download it this morning. And every time I tried to go to it, it just said it was unavailable. So, or something like that. It didn't say exactly unavailable. But so anyway, we're going to learn this way just because, yeah, we're going to use this a lot anyway. And so if going back to our courses section, actually, let me show you one other thing. Now, depending on when you actually watch this live stream, if you go down to the bottom of our courses.twcontrols.com, there are some lessons in development. And so these are ones that we're kind of working through to develop. Sometimes we're trying to see if y'all are interested in something, but eventually they usually get integrated into whatever lesson they fit with. So right now we're developing a series on into exactly how to download and install Ignition. And that'll get you to where we're talking about today. And so the first thing we want to do is in Microsoft Edge. In fact, let me just close that out so we can start fresh. We want to type localhost :8088. And that's going to take you to the configuration of Inductive Automation's Ignition. And the first thing you're going to see right here is we got an orange banner here, and it says 2 hours went by. Not to worry, click to reset for 2 more. And so what I really love about Ignition is they let you get a full test drive of this for 2 hours. And when you want to try it again, you just got to reset it and do it again. So I'm going to sign in. And then it says reset trial. We'll click the reset, and that gives us 2 hours to play with this and learn about trending. And so then we're going to go to config over here, and we're going to scroll down on the left side, and we're going to find OPC UA and then device connections. And we're going to hit create new device. And this is a recent add to Inductive Automation's Ignition. So depending on how old your version is, you may need to download this driver, but now they have the Allen Bradley Micro800 driver. So we're going to click it, and we're going to click next. And then we're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call mine the Micro850. And then your default IP address on your trainer is 192.168.1.10. Now my PLC trainer that I'm using in this video is set up at 20.101. So you don't need to make this change, but I'm just going to change that to 20.101. And we'll click create new device. And one thing I really love about Ignition is right away we know, is our connection good or connection bad? In fact, I'm going to go ahead and unplug our PLC. And if we give it about 30 seconds here, we should see this say something like faulted or reconnecting. I can't remember exactly what it says. I'm back in. And that gets us going again. Whoops, I just realized. You gotta love when all of a sudden you decide to do your sound check. I just looked down and saw, oh no, we're using the right mic, so hopefully you've been able to hear me. Okay, so that's all we actually need to do over here. For the rest of it, we're gonna go to the Start menu, and we're gonna type Designer, and we're gonna see the Designer Launcher. And we set this up when we were downloading and doing our first tag. So if you just walk through those lessons, you'll see how we get to here. And we're going to hit Open Designer. And then the login will be the same as you did before. So there'll be HMI and HMI for me. And I'm just going to create a new project. And I will call this my PID trend. Oops, and just like Studio 5000, you cannot have spaces and tag names. So we'll do that, and we're not going to worry about anything else here. All right, and then back over here, just so we have some data, we're going to go and try to trend our speed command and our speed feedback because, oh, I'm offline because I pulled the Ethernet cable. Okay, I was like, why am I offline? But so those will be two good enough ones so we can see what we need to see today. And so I'm going to go here and I'm going to make a new window and I'm just going to call mine main. It will be a main window. We're going to hit create. And then in the middle here on the left side, you're going to see the tag browser. And we're going to hit the plus sign by the tag browser. And we're going to browse devices. And then we'll open up the Ignition OPC UA server, devices. And there's the Micro850 I just added. And then we have controller global. And in here, we're going to grab our speed command. And actually, I can hold the control key down and I can click speed feedback also. And we're going to put both of those over with this middle button here. And we're going to click OK. And immediately, we're actually getting live data. So my speed command right now is 25 and my speed feedback is 0. And if I switch 4 to the left, then we see our speed feedback start going up. And so right away, you know, from a troubleshooting perspective, if I didn't have the software, I can gain a lot of insights just off that little move right there. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both of these, and I'm just going to drag them over into my screen. You'll see your screen kind of turn yellow. And when you drop it, it looks like you did a right click, but it actually is popping up a menu option for you. And I'm going to make numeric labels for both of those. And we're probably not going to use these, but just so we can see them. So then, actually, well, if I'm going to drop them on the screen, then I probably should put a label by them. So up here, I'm going to grab a text field. We're going to drag it over, and I'm going to call this one, oops, and I'm going to call this one on the text, I'm going to call it the speed command. And we need to widen it up just a little bit. And actually, I'm going to make it a little narrower while we're at it. That way that'll line up with that one. And then we're just going to right click and copy it and right click and paste it. So I have 2 copies of it. And we're going to call this one our speed feedback. Oops, why can I not find the text now? There it is, speed feedback. And arguably those will probably just be up there just in case we don't feel like the data we're getting ready to do is working. So now on our right side in our component palette, let's scroll down and let's find our easy chart. And let's drag that easy chart over here. And we'll go ahead and make it as wide as what we have. There we go. And I'm going to kind of try to do this in the order that at least I find most people do it in. It's not 100% the correct order. Is first, I know I want to trim these 2 right here. So I'm going to grab both of those. I'm just going to drop it right here. And right away, we can see our speed command and our speed feedback. And if we switch our switch, then nothing is happening here. Although we can see we definitely have data. And what's happening is this is pulling data out of our SQL database, but we didn't actually configure these to have what we call history. So what we're going to do is on our speed command, let's double click on it and go to your history area right here. And then we're going to enable history. Now, one thing I kind of wish they'd do is, this is not going to work right now. And usually you hit OK and then you scratch your head for a while, is right underneath it. We have to tell it what storage provider do you want to use. Now, if you install Ignition in the order that we did in our introduction to Ignition video, then it'll come with this sample SQLite database. Now, probably long term, this is not a good database to use. You probably want, a database probably that IT sets up for you in some type of MySQL or Microsoft SQL server or something. But this is really good for just learning about it. So we're going to click OK to that. And so now we have a little clock right here by it, and that means that we are getting history off of it. And then we're going to double click on our speed feedback, go to history, and we'll enable it on it and also do that. All right. Now, the next thing is, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button here. As you see, we have a solid line and nothing's happening. And right now you have to drag this slider to where you actually want to see stuff at. And by default on our easy, let's go ahead and hit the stop button up here and highlight it. By default over here, the chart mode is historical. And I mean, that allows you to pretty much do that. Drag it where you want and look at certain timestamps. But what I want to do is I want the real time. And now we can see that our time is actually ticking away at the bottom here. And if I switch forward to the left, which makes it run, then we're going to see our speed start. But notice how all of a sudden that red line just went haywire when we did that. It was nice and up here, and now it's down here. And that's because by default, this is going to set up for auto range because it doesn't know what range you want. Now, auto range can be useful sometimes, especially when you don't know what speed you want. In fact, we'll probably use it in just a second. But when we're wanting to really look at 2 data values, we probably want these ranges to be fixed. Now, the next issue is we can see that the ranges of these 2 numbers are significantly different. So we really need 2 different scales on top of that. because our speed command is in percent. Pretty much we're 0 to 100%. And this, we don't know the range of. I don't think we actually did that in the last video. So first we're going to figure out the range of that. Is we're going to come here and for our speed command, let's put 100. And notice we get a pop-up right away because we are not in read-write mode. So it asks, do you want to enable read-write or do we want to write once? Well, just so you know where it is, we're going to hit cancel on this. And it's going to tell us, yeah, our communications was off. If we go up to project, here's where you switch between those. So by default, read only is enabled. We're going to make this read write. And now we can go right here and we can put 100 in. And now if I switch 4 to the left, let's see how high our speed feedback goes. So it should be right at about 3,600 RPM. And yeah, we're running about 3510. So we really want the range of this blue line to be 0 to 3,600, but we want the range of the red line to be 0 to 100. So let's double click on our easy chart. And then over here we have axis. Let's click the axis tab. And here's the default axis, which defaults to 0 to 100, which is perfect for our speed command. But it also has this auto range checkbox. So let's uncheck that and then click OK. And now we can see that, all right, this shot out of sight of our range. Well, this one does look right. Now you're going to look at this line right now. We're going to talk about why this line's doing what it's doing in just a second. Let's go ahead and fix this blue line first. So double click on your easy chart. And then let's go to our axis and let's add another one. So we're just going to hit the plus sign on the axis tab. And I'm going to call this my motor speed. And I'm going to make, we're going to uncheck the auto range. And we're going to make its upper bound 3,600. And now let's go back to the pins tab. And one, it can be a little confusing because if I double click on the name, I can't really do anything. If I double click on the tag, I can't do anything. And there is a button over I could use, but if you'll double click on the preview, that'll bring up its data. And mainly right now we have on our speed feedback default axis. We want to change that to motor speed. We click OK, and we click OK. All right, now that gets both of our charts working really nice. Now, if you stare at this a while, you're going to see that this line is never actually getting to where it is supposed to be. And I feel there should be another way to fix this. And actually, when we extract the data, which I did just rename the video before you got on. I don't know if you saw it, but we're actually going to extract this to Microsoft Excel. The data works fine in Microsoft Excel, but the issue is how our history is set up by default. So if we double click on our speed command on our tag browser and we go back down to our history, then the sample mode is on change. Now, arguably, I'm going to say that with almost no exception for logging to a database, on change is the best way to do it, because a lot of people are like, well, let's just make everything periodic. And, they'll want to sample it 1 second. Well, especially a speed set point, it may never change. Or let's say on our PID, our desired value may never change. So there's no needing writing it and just filling up data every second so we can put it on change. Now, the issue is, it knew when I set it at 25, and it knows what its current value is. And it's just drawing a line between those two spots. So on this particular graph, the way it is, it doesn't look right. Now, I haven't had time to really look at different ways to render it, but I figure it's a good opportunity for us to talk about the different sample modes. So instead of on change, I'm going to change it to periodic. And I'm just going to make it 1 second because that'll be plenty good for what we're doing. And click OK. And now, oops. Has it really been 2 hours? Why did my trial say it expired? Oh, I have no idea. I don't think 2 hours went by. I'm not sure what I did. I think 20 minutes went by, but apparently I did something interesting there. But okay, now it knows exactly where it's supposed to be. And if we take and we change our commanded speed to 25, then, oh, well, whoops, I made it 25,100. If we try that again, we make the commanded speed 25, then it'll immediately drop down and we can see the actual data. Also, okay, well, since I did that little mess up there, now we know for sure that it was way out of sight for that little bit of range. But our goal in the end on a PID, for the most part, is to make some type of feedback match some type of command. And so right now, if I switch forward to left to make it run, then we're going to see our blue line come up. And we're going to see that it's going to kind of park a little bit shy of where it needs to be. In fact, I think I can zoom in on that. Which button is it to zoom in? There we go. So yeah, if you hold your control button, you can actually zoom in on this graph right here. Or I mean on this tongue-tied already, on the screen. And we can see that, yeah, this is kind of our goal is, hey, we have a steady state error. So we're going to be needing to examine these pieces right here. And that's going to get us to where we need to be for the PID video. Now, while we're here, though, let's talk about a couple other things. Is it'd be really nice sometimes to take this data and look at it in Excel or something. So what I'm going to do is you have a save button right here. And we're going to click save. Whoops. Now you have to hit the play button so right now it's set up to let us edit it. To get it where all the doodads actually work, we have to hit the play button here. Now we can hit the save button and that'll pop it up. And I'm going to put this, actually, let me put it where I can pop it out into, in fact, we'll just overwrite that one. Right, so then what we can do is if I open up Google Drive and I'm going to go File, Import, and I'm going to go Upload, Browse, and let's grab that chart. And we'll import that data. And so this gives us our actual values that we were seeing in that trend. Now, one thing while you're here, at first when you look at this, you're going to be like, well, it only gave me the date. But if we click on it, we see it's actually got the date and the time down to the second. It just did not actually get us this in our formatting. So I'm going to highlight the A column, and then let's go Format, Number, and right here we can say that we want, what do we want? We probably want this one right here. And actually you could do a custom date time, but this one right here will get us what we need to know. So now we know down to the second. Actually, this probably has down. Actually, yeah, let's go look at it. Let's go Format, oops, and Number, and let's do a custom date time. How far can we get? Yeah, so that we can actually get down to the millisecond here. Let's see if it actually, yeah, it's okay. It did some, so here you go. This is data down to the seconds. We have the date. This is hour, minute, millisecond that it actually took this data down. And then we have our actual data. And so now what we can do is we can highlight all that. And across the chart, across the top here, we have a chart, insert chart. We're going to click it. And voila, right away we got a, ooh, right away we have a really weird spot here. Why do I have a weird spot here? I wasn't expecting that. Oh, remember it was at 100 and I was trying to change it to 25 and I accidentally put these crazy values in here. All right, that was an accident. I'm just going to delete those rows out. And now if we go back up, yeah, that looks a little better now. So now we can, you know, examine this data and do whatever you might want to do with it in Google Sheets, Microsoft, Excel, or anything like that. But that is really going to get us to where I believe we're ready to start talking about PIDs. Now, I started to stick this right just on the beginning of the PID, but it was far enough of a different thing. One, there are a lot of good features here because, yeah, we can gather some data. We can, trend it. And yeah, we're going to need that for PIDs. There's lots of other times we'd need that too. But anyway, that is all I have for today, unless somebody wants to drop some really quick questions in there. So our next live stream will be on the Micro800 PID. That will be the last one of this comprehensive learning series. And then we're actually going to start building out the exact same lessons in Studio 5000. We also have some really good, I have them sitting right here. We have some really good safety videos coming. So, and yes, I know they're safety PLCs. We got a couple of them sitting here, but you got to start understanding the basics first. So we actually just added safety. Well, this is a delay, but we just added safety relays to all of our standard trainers here. So we can kind of start talking about, redundancy and the need for it. And then we're going to talk about configurable relays, and then we're going to talk about safety PLCs. And then we have some really cool cybersecurity items coming up. A lot of good fun stuff coming. So anyway, I will see you at the PID series. Talk to you later.